Okay, this is Roger LeBlanc talking to Arlene Pashactio.
Cachero.
Share,
Cachero.
I'm sorry. I'm at church. I just gave her communion. Don't mind me. Anyways, your mom and my mom are kind of have a bit of a connection between the events of Fatima and the day that the Holy Father was shot.
Right.
And you had mentioned that your mother was at Fatima at the apparition itself when Sister Lucia had the last apparition when the miracle occurred. She was very close to her. Is that?
Yes, she was about, I'd say maybe 10 feet away from her,
Wow.
from the children, from the three
They were
children.
actually there when the miracle occurred, the miracle of the sun.
Yes, they were.
And what happened? What was it like for her? Did she? Your mom? I'm sure your mom told people about this. What was it? What
Absolutely,
did she say?
absolutely. Well, I can just tell you that to get to Fatima,
Yeah.
mother and my mother rode on a donkey, no cars at that
Now
time.
they came to the States and then they went back for some kind of.
They were living in the States. They met in the States,
Okay.
yes. And my grandmother had three children left in Portugal, and she asked my father if he would go back to Portugal to get the last three children.
Okay.
While they were, this was in 1916, they went to Portugal.
Okay.
And while they were there, visiting to getting my mother's children, my father's parents from a little town near Fatima called Reguengfurtal was telling my mother and father about the miracles that were taking place in
Oh.
Fatima.
Oh, so they had visited the shrine. I mean, the site before the last.
No, they had never been there.
Oh, okay.
But my grandmother told them that they were going to have a great miracle to prove to the people that this was really the Mother of God.
Wow.
And so my mother and father wanted to go.
Wow.
So my grandmother and my grandfather took care of the children, and mom and dad went. Mom went by donkey, and she says it poured rain from from the time she left, and when she got there, she says they were soaking right down to their
Everything was
skin.
muddy and everything else.
Muddy, and they were soaking right down to their skin.
Wow.
They were soaking wet. And she says when she got there, she says it was crowds all over.
Yeah.
And she says that at around noontime, the children told the people to close their umbrellas and for the men to remove their hats. And then she said, look at the sun. And they looked up at the sun. And my mother says the sun came out as a bright, shining disk, and it started to spin in the sky. And she says, as it was spinning, it was turning different colors. And everything that you see, every color
The
that the
colors
sun
hit
turned,
everything on the ground and all that?
everything would turn different colors, but it was
Wow.
coming towards them.
Wow.
And my mother said that the people thought it was
The end of the world.
they
Yeah.
really thought it
Yeah,
was the
I
end.
would think
People
so.
fell on their knees and cried out for mercy. They
Yeah.
really thought the sun was going to come down on them.
Wow.
She says it lasted maybe a little over a minute. But she
The
says
spinning?
that,
The
yes.
spinning sun? Yeah.
But she said when you're scared, a minute
Oh, yeah.
is
It's eternity.
a long time.
That's for sure.
And she said then it started to go back in its place.
Uh-huh.
Now, in that short time, they were completely dry. The ground was all completely dry as if it had never rained.
And were their clothes clean, did you
They
say?
were clean and dry.
Like they had been to the dry cleaner.
That's right.
It's incredible.
My mother said that there were people all around her that were crippled, were blind. The cripples laid down their crutches. They were walking again.
Was
The
more than
blind,
one?
oh yes, my mother said there were many of them that got their eyesight back,
Wow.
got their limbs back. A lot of illnesses that were cured. Non-believers especially
What?
got their faith back.
Really?
Yes.
What about the communists? Who wasn't there someone that had a bomb in their pocket?
Now I heard this from my mother,
Yeah.
but I've never read it
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But as you know,
The communists were, yeah.
communists were
Yeah.
trying to take over
Yeah.
Portugal at the time, and
Yeah,
they
right.
certainly didn't want this spreading.
Right.
And one of the high officials,
Yeah.
he had a homemade bomb in his pocket to throw on the crowd, to disperse the
To
crowd.
disperse, wow.
And he said when he put his hand in his pocket to pull out that bomb, there was a rosary bead in its place.
That's amazing.
And needless to say, he was converted on the spot.
Wow.
And
Now, when did your mom pass?
My mother died in 1986.
Wow.
Yes.
Is there any record of her telling you? You said that there's an audio of her.
Mr. Hafford, who was co-founder of the Blue Army
Oh yeah,
of Our
yeah,
Lady
yeah, oh
of
yeah, yeah,
Fatima,
yeah, yeah.
he interviewed my mother, and he does have my mother on tape. However, he has passed away,
Yeah. Oh, okay. John
and
Harford
I
died.
do
Yeah.
not know if there's a possibility of us contacting his wife or not.
I'd be interested. This is
And
an audio of your mom talking about it. She could
yeah,
speak English, but broken.
half English, half Portuguese.
It's like my parents with the French. My mom,
Kind of mixed.
my father. They both spoke fluent French,
It
but
was kind of mixed.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Wow.
But mother had great faith, great
Yeah, oh
faith.
yeah, yeah.
My goodness, she used to say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rosaries a day.
Oh my gosh. Were you that bad?
No,
I'm
even
just kidding you.
no, she was very
Wow, that's
devout,
amazing.
very
Yeah,
devout.
yeah. I wish that there were more women like that in the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing. So that must have had a grace for your
and
family.
we were young. We knew the story of Fatima right from the time we could understand
Oh yeah.
words.
Well, that's a
My mother
privilege.
told us long before it was published in this country.
Really?
My mother and father used to tell
Well, how
us the
could you not be
story.
affected by that? Yeah. If you're there, she was that close to Lucia,
Yes, she was.
and
Yes,
she
she
never
was.
get to talk to Lucia, did she?
No, she didn't.
No, she just was happy. She
No,
was.
she didn't.
That's a grace to have been so close
Yes.
to see her. So that's amazing to have seen the actual children right then, and the events unfold like that.
Yes.
It must have been petrifying for the communists too that were there to. In the movie Our Lady of Fatima, you see them in the car at the end of the film, and they're shrinking down in the car. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is for real. So,
That's right.
did you ever see the film Our Lady of Fatima?
Lady of Fatima, yes.
The original by Warner Brothers.
The one by Warner Brothers, yeah. Well, I think that's the nicest one.
I do too. Yeah,
Because
since
it's
I was a
kind of,
boy, that's my favorite.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yes,
yeah,
I've seen that a number
yeah.
of times.
And as you know, my mom was really led pilgrimages for a number of years that went to Rome, and I told you about the events of the day with my mom and Aliaca and all of that. Yeah. So I can show you sometime the YouTube that I have of that, and I think you'll kind of find it interesting. But thanks a lot, Arlene, for
God
telling me
uses
about this.
certain people
Yeah,
to
he can use anyone,
use his message.
schmucks too.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah. Let me stop this.